Greetings, scholars! I'm recording this video to talk you through the rhetorical situation and genre conventions of your first major assignment, the research proposal. This will hopefully give you a better understanding of what it is we're doing and why we're doing it, and how to do it successfully. The research proposal, as you've already read, is a genre of research writing, and it occurs early in the stages of the research process. Now, the exigence for the research proposal and why the genre exists is that whenever you do research, you often need some kind of approval for it. So research takes time. A lot of times it takes money and resources. And so essentially, if you're going to do a research project, you want to make sure it's not going to be a waste of time. That is how the research proposal came to exist. The research proposal is meant to demonstrate that your research is worth doing, that you have a solid plan for doing it, and that you're the right person to do it. So that means that the audience is going to be some kind of expert, mentor, maybe a boss. If it's like a grant proposal, it's whoever has the money. So if the exigence is to get approval, you want to reach the audience who would be giving that approval. In the case of this assignment, that audience is me. And so for the research proposal here, what I'm looking for you to do is demonstrate that you have a project that you're excited about doing, because you're going to be doing it the whole semester. And so it also needs to be worth doing. So it's interesting or useful to do this project, conducting this research, and learning more about this issue. The other thing that's important is we only have 16 weeks. And the 16 weeks is including the week that has already passed and finals week. So there's not a whole lot of time to do a full-scale research project. What we want to make sure is that your plan is solid and it will be easily executed or executed successfully before the semester. So that's kind of the idea of any research proposal, but this particularly within this context. So we've covered the exigence and the audience. For the constraints, there are quite a few that are related to the genre conventions of this assignment. If you look at the assignment sheet, you'll actually see that some of the genre conventions, or the common elements that make the genre what it is, are listed under the task and specifications portions of the assignment sheet. So the task breaks down your research proposal by parts, or things that need to be done for the genre to be successful. This is also what you'll find in the rubric. How you'll be assessed on the project will be based on these things. The first is that you always have some kind of introduction for your audience. This is something that you're interested in pursuing, so I need to learn more about it. If the introduction involves any kind of background information that you might need to provide on the situation, issue, or topic at hand to give it some context, then you may need to do some background research on this, and you just might be citing some outside sources to give this information. Just keep that in mind. Once you've provided some background information, you'll transition from what we already know, which is what you've provided in the introduction, to what we'd like to know more about, which is called your research objective. This is where you get into what your project would actually be, what you're trying to learn, and why this project is worth doing. What's interesting or useful about taking on this project and learning more about this issue. That means you'll be including your research questions here, and in future modules we'll be talking about how to develop effective research questions, and again, why this project is worth doing. Then the next step is going to be demonstrating that you have a solid plan for completing this research project, and that includes talking about your research methods. This means data collection and data analysis. Again, things we will prepare for in future modules. And then also a timeline. Now, a timeline is obviously a genre in and of itself. You've seen them before, and it's totally up to you how you want to do your timeline. You can do a visual, you can do a bullet point list, but the idea of the timeline is to show that within the constraints of the semester, so time constraints, you'll be able to complete this project and you'll be able to conduct this research. If you're conducting analysis or if you're collecting texts and artifacts, what is your plan for collecting this data? When will you be analyzing the data? When will you be looking at secondary research? And so the idea is that throughout the course of the semester, you'll be able to keep yourself on track, and if there are any issues collecting your data, you have a backup plan. In regards to the timeline, again, this is down the line and we will get there. I do recommend taking a look at the course calendar because some deadlines are built in for you. You'll see some process work assignments, such as your primary data must be collected by week 9. So you want to have a solid plan for making sure you have everything before then, because we'll be moving on to analyzing data at that point, and it'll be too late to collect anything more. So you want to have a solid plan for figuring all that out beforehand. You'll see that there are research checkpoints where I'll be looking for you to demonstrate that you've collected some secondary sources or prior research on your topic. So some deadlines are built into your course calendar, and that can help you build your timeline. Use them. Now for your timeline, you might have specific dates for some things, but you can also feel free to give yourself kind of a broad range of time, like this week I'm going to work on this thing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a date by date, but definitely at least as specific as assigned tasks for each week. So that's essentially the breakdown of the content, genre conventions, the things that go into the research proposal. You also want to take a look at the specifications, MLA or APA, citation style. Whichever one you've chosen, you'll want to make sure you're following these genre conventions, and there are some other constraints that affect this project that are related to the course syllabus or my course policies. So for example, you'll want to keep in mind that I don't accept late work, and that you need to submit this document as a Microsoft Word doc or a Google Doc. If you submit it as some other kind of document and I can't open it, or you submit the wrong file, that's going to be a 0, which you definitely don't want for this 10% of your grade. Now, I don't have these policies or constraints to be mean. It's mostly because, as I stated in the syllabus, research is a process and this class moves quickly, so falling behind is not in your best interest. I haven't seen a lot of people fall behind and be able to catch back up again, so it's really important that you're staying on top of these deadlines. I have the semester figured out in a way that will ensure everyone can be successful. So the deadlines are concrete for a reason. The other reason is that it's really important that you're able to double check your files and meet deadlines for your future. So that's not just considering college classes, that's also considering jobs you'll have or any future situations where you might be uploading files. If you're applying for a job and you submit the wrong file and not the resume you intended, you don't get a second shot at that. So it's really important to be double checking your files, that they're correct files, that you're uploading them by the deadline, and that everything goes smoothly. So I'm giving you practice with that right there. Real-world exigence. So that's a brief review of the rhetorical situation and genre conventions of this assignment. If you have any other questions or concerns, we're going to be working up towards this over the next couple weeks, so there will be process work assignments and research logs, which we'll talk about on the next page that will prepare for this. But there's also a Q&A discussion board that's optional, not attached to any points, so if you have any questions or concerns now that you'll be introduced to it, feel free to go over to that discussion board, post your question or concern, and then I or your classmates can get back to you to help you on your understanding of that. So if you have anything else, always feel free to reach out to me. And I hope you found this helpful. I can't wait to hear what you propose for your research. And for those of you that were wondering, yes, those are Cars from the Cars movie. So let that put your mind at rest. Thanks, guys.